Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of agape relationships in the Old Testament. And last time we were together, we looked at the first time that word agape was used in the Septuagint in the Greek Old Testament, and it's in Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. Whenever God is asking Abraham to take his son, his only son, Isaac, the one he loves, and offer him on the mountain to Moriah. And that's the first time that was used. The next two times, the next two relationships that we're looking at are also patriarchs. We're going to look at Isaac and Rebekah, and we're going to look at Jacob and Rachel, whom he did have agape for, and Leah, whom he did not have agape for, although he did have philia for her. And we'll be able to see the distinction between agape and philia when we look at that. But today, we have this very short, very sweet vignette in which this word is used again, but to describe the feeling that Isaac had for Rebekah. And I want to talk about that for a bit. And it's in Genesis chapter 24, and beginning with verse 62. In Genesis 24, Abraham doesn't have a wife for Isaac, and he doesn't want Isaac to marry a Canaanite. And so he sends his servant back to the Transjordan, back among his own people, to find a wife for his son Isaac. Sarah has died at this point, and Abraham is worried that if Isaac doesn't marry before he passes, he may not marry at all. I don't know why this hasn't happened yet. I do know this: Isaac is the only one of the patriarchs, unless you're counting Joseph, who was monogamous. I mean, he just is. Um, Now, I think Jacob would have preferred to be monogamous, but he had four women through whom he had children. Abraham had three women through whom he had children, and but Isaac just has the one woman, just the one woman for him, and it's not someone he was able to meet. I mean, he didn't meet her until she'd already been chosen to be his wife. So this is very much an arranged marriage. Well, so at the house of Laban, Laban's sister Rebecca agrees. I mean, it's quite clear that she's marrying wealth. Abraham was such a wealthy individual that kings, like the Pharaoh of Egypt, counted him as almost a peer. He had a security force in his household that could take on the armies of four kings and prevail. So um, we probably shouldn't be surprised that she might have been eager to say yes, but this is not just a mercenary thing. And then I also want to point out that later on, we don't really know their relationship much beyond this. There's the time that uh, she's they're near King Abimelech, and she's so beautiful. Isaac is afraid to say that it's his wife, just like his mother and dad used to lie about that kind of thing. And we get to see them through Abimelech's eyes in a very um, intimate moment physically because he does. And so we know that they had passion for each other. We also know that they had agape for each other. And we have that in this passage. When they get to be old and each one has their own favorite son, they get on each other's nerves and have cross words with each other, but not here. Isaac had come from going to Beer Lahai Roy, for he was living in Negev. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes. And when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is the man walking in the field to meet us?" And the servant said, "He is my master." And she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. This is an arranged marriage, but we also see everyone here acting in a manner that is in every way respectful and considerate, and um, just respectful of the sacred thing that marriage is. And it's such a quiet but such a sweet vignette. Um, you know, Abraham and Isaac are rich, 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 but they work, you know, and he's been working, and into the day he goes off into the field to meditate, to think, to pray, to be alone with his thoughts. Isaac is not, either of his sons. He goes into the field to think, to meditate, and he looks up and a caravan is coming, and 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 so he goes out to meet the caravan, and Rebecca, who is the princess in the caravan, she's the one who's being transported. She dismounts from her camel and asks the servant who has engaged her to marry Isaac who it is. And whenever he tells her who it is, she covers herself with a veil in modesty before she meets him. This is completely arranged. It is not the way we do things at all. But as we see in this passage, this is the beginning of an agape relationship, of a loving relationship, because love, agape love, is not the response to an impulse, not a physical impulse. It is something that we decide to do because of the genuine and sincere um, and holy things that we feel for another person, and we see that all of that all of that contained in this. It's a very quiet use of the word, one that we could read right over, but I think it's so important in a lot of ways. I just love these verses. It's just such a wonderful, quiet, sweet vignette. Okay, things are not quite so wonderful or so sweet, and certainly not so quiet next time, because we're going to be talking about Rachel and Leah and Jacob, the husband they share. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.